I give a shout out on my father's side to Pam Bowen and to Ian Newland. These are cousins. Colin, I'm sorry. Colin. Ian is his brother, and they're sort of here representing Ian and Jennifer. Those are my other two cousins who, frankly, I haven't been probably in as close contact as I should be, and maybe this event, because my mother did believe so much in connection, will rectify that. I also have to give thanks to this day, to have in mid-October in New Hampshire this temperate a day, this beautiful a day, is highly unusual. I'll take it as a sign. I'll take it as a sign from above, sort of reciprocating my mother's appreciation for nature. And she, throughout her life, evolved in terms of her beliefs and her different faiths. But one thing that was consistent was her attachment to nature. And my earliest memories and my strongest memories of my mother, who's been described here as a career woman and an activist, is as a mother. I remember those moments. I remember the Vicks Vapor Rub that she would rub on my chest so that I could breathe better when I was sick, or coming into my room when I was troubled by a bad dream on a terribly tight budget. She always made sure that our dinners, I remember, they would have a grain, a protein, and a vegetable. She was quintessentially a mother. And I think when I hear people describe her sort of special ability to be empathetic and to offer service to somebody like a John Lowy, who was alone, or that grieving parent, I think what my mom, Nina Jordan, really did is she took the very best attributes of motherhood, the nurturing, the sacrifice, the protection, the concern, all the quintessential aspects of a mother to a child, and she just expanded it outward. That's what she did. She took those feelings and expanded it beyond family and beyond friends, even to the world at large. And, it's a very honorable thing to be devoted to your family and to your friends. And that's great. But what my mom sought to do throughout her life and to become better and better at is to expand that outward. My sister read a poem that I wrote when I was years ago when my mom was 60, referring to the ripples of her good deeds going on forever. Those ripples go out in a circle, and that's what she really wanted. She wanted everybody expanding the circle of their concern and their goodness. And she hated to see anybody. She hated injustice anywhere. My mom knew life's unfair. Life's not always fair. And frankly, it wasn't fair to take her so close to the time when she was very vital. My mom, she passed away within a week to 10 days of traveling back up. She took the ferry herself. She had visited us. She was beating Ayla and Callie at video games and cards. And she got back on the ferry herself. I had to bring Callie, I think, to a doctor's appointment, and so she had to be dropped off on the ferry herself. She came back to chair a sustainability conference on, I think it was a Thursday, and sadly ended up in the hospital on a Saturday. So she was constantly at work right up till the end of her life. And what she really didn't want to see. Life is unfair, so we shouldn't add to it by being unfair to anybody, even to people outside our circle or that look different or that we might think of as adversaries or rivals or competitors. You know, she was just such a naturally good-hearted person. I mean, it could even be a little frustrating. She came to see me on trial once, and I was cross-examining the other party, and this was a party I felt who was not telling the truth about something that he had said to the woman whose family was bringing the case. She had now passed away. She couldn't speak for herself, and he was claiming, oh, I recommended this to her, she just didn't want to do it. But I recommended it to her. It was her fault, in a sense. She didn't want to do it. And I didn't believe him, because I had enough records of his to know that it wasn't mentioned in there. So when I cross-examined him, I was pretty harsh, because I didn't think he was telling the truth about someone who was now dead and couldn't defend themselves. And I had a good day at trial. I won that case. That case actually changed a little bit of the trajectory of my career. And it was, ironically, the case was in Queens, where we had started out, and my mom was there parked outside, conspicuously, because she had her kayak on the top of the car. You know, I walk out of the courthouse, and there's my mom's car with a kayak. I don't know if I want the jurors seeing me getting in it. I forget what vehicle she had at the time, but she had this banana yellow kayak on the top of it. Sort of stood out like a sore thumb in Queens. But anyway, I said, well, Mom, you know, what did you think? She goes, well, you know, Conrad, you're pretty harsh. The defendant. I said, Mom, that's my job. Of course I'm harsh. It wasn't, the guy's lying. I gotta go. And, no, well, I don't know. Maybe you could have been nicer about it. So, you know, I told my sister about that, and I still remember what she said. She said, well, that's it. No more Buddhists in the courtroom. But, you know, her belief system was very simple. You know, for all its good-heartedness, it was really had a utilitarian aspect to it, which is, I want the most good for the most people. Matter of fact, I remember once, I don't know how the topic came up, it was probably, you know, something, following 9/11 or something, the issue of, well, you know, is torture right and torture wrong? And I remember my mom saying, well, you know, if there was a terrorist who knew where a bomb was that's going to kill 100 people, and we could find it out by torturing them, I think we ought to do it. Because she's weighing the 100 versus the 1. You know, as I said, she evolved. You know, she started out, of course, Sacred Heart High School, a very a committed Catholic. And then as time went on, you know, she evolved, and she also consulted the Quaker faith, Baha'i, and certainly Buddhism was very important to her. But, you know, if you define Christianity and being a Christian as following and believing and trying to practice what Christ did, looking out for those least capable of looking out for themselves, you know, doing the most good, doing it with humility and without seeking a lot of fanfare, helping even the people at the bottom rung, you know, the lepers that Christ looked after, then she remained a Christian for her entire life, no matter what other faith she was involved in. You know, these major faiths have been around for, you know, 2,000 years, most of them, with Judaism older and what have you. And, you know, if we were in the need of a new faith, a more modern, updated faith, you know, Ninaism wouldn't be a terrible place to start, because she really had a vision of the world that was very enlightened. Yeah, she was a very frugal person. And she could even be frustratingly frugal. And part of it is the generation she came from. I remember being in her mother's house and watching my grandmother reuse tinfoil and stuff like that, and getting after me when I didn't. And I know part of it was the era, but part of it, I believe, my mom always lived very frugally. I believe she did it for the same reason that she was very interested in conservation. The feeling that there are certain things, material resources and the planet's resources, that are somewhat scarce. And if everyone's trying to grab just as much of it as they can, then on the material end, some people are going to be left without. And her belief was we really shouldn't have a world where some people have so much at the expense where some